time worship and our Bible is King James. We are strengthened in the things, we're strengthened in the things, strengthened the things that remain.
Welcome in to the Strength of the Things That Remain podcast. We're glad that you're here. Again, we're on location at the Gateway Baptist Church. We've been down here in Jubilee this week, and it's been great.
Amen.
It's been great. Man, Rudy Smith preached this morning on Calvary.
Yeah.
Probably as good as I've ever heard.
Best I've ever heard.
Yeah.
We have with us, of course, as always, Todd McKinn, and then we have here Jonathan England, the pastor of the
Faith
Baptist Church in Crossville, Tennessee.
That's right.
And the star of the show here.
I'm in the Cocoa Baptist Church.
Oh, yeah. Mr. Gus here. Mr.
Amen.
Gus. And so we're going to talk a little bit about, we're going to talk to Gus some, talk to you, Brother Jonathan. First, one thing that we always like to do is just kind of get a preacher's story. So tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, my story began at it'd been 1999, I guess. Began working with Brother Bradley at Summit Building Supply, and I tell you, he pestered me to death. I heard Brother Lester Roloff say one time that he couldn't think of anybody that he'd ever won to the Lord what he didn't make them mad first.
Yeah.
And Brother Bradley held true to that, and he just kept on pestering me to come to the house of God, and so I went, and the Lord saved me there that night. It was on a Wednesday night. The Lord saved me under Brother Bradley's preaching, and the next year called me to preach. And then from there, I've just started pastoring church and there in Burnsville, and from there to Crossville, Tennessee.
Amen. Gus?
How long have you been there in Crossville now?
I've been there 2 years.
2 years.
How old's Gus? 16?
16.
Are you 16, Gus?
Yeah.
All right, tell us a little bit about Gus.
Gus, 16 years old, special needs, got Down syndrome, of course. And so with Gus, we didn't know how much Gus would understand. And I came in the house one afternoon and heard my wife praying. And not that I eavesdropped, I just give her time. But in her prayer, she was saying, Lord, I don't know how much Gus can understand, but salvation's such a wonderful thing.
Yeah.
I would sure like for him to be able to experience that. So, Lord, if you would, save him so he could experience salvation.
Right.
And I thought, man, what a tremendous prayer.
Right.
And at that point, I just joined her in that prayer. And for a year, we were faithful to pray and asked the Lord to save Gus. We didn't know what he'd understand. And we were having a revival meeting. And Gus got in the altar, which he would do at times. And the Lord nudged my heart, said, just kneel down there with him. When I knelt down there, I put my hand on his back. And if you've ever been around somebody getting saved, when you touch them, they're hot.
Yeah.
And he looked up, tears streaming. He said, "I saved, Daddy. I saved."
I saved.
So Lord don't need he don't need us. He does his own work and his own communicating.
Yeah.
Amen.
Now, did y'all know before he was born that had they informed you that he was going to have Down syndrome?
No, total surprise. Well, I had no expectation of anything like that. The first indication we had is when he was born, the doctor said, hang on just a second. So we knew then something wasn't kosher or whatever, but...
I remember Rachel's mama had just had surgery and was in the hospital.
Mm-hmm.
And you called, said that Shannon was in labor, and so we rode the elevator down there.
Oh.
And when you walked out, you just had this look on your face. I said, is everything okay?
Yeah.
And you said, I never will forget what you said, because you said, they think he may be a little Downs, is what you said.
Yeah.
And I said, well, we want to go in and see him, and we went in. And I told Jonathan, I said, he looks just like you.
Yeah.
I said, he just looks like you. That's the reason they think. He just looks like you.
Yeah.
He looks just like you.
Yeah.
And he does still to this day. Looks a lot
Sure
like
does.
you. Look like your daddy, don't you? Bless your heart.
Oh, yeah.
And maybe you'll grow out of it.
Yeah. Todd right here.
So he got saved. How many
I know
years?
you, Todd.
How old was he when he got saved?
Let's see. So he'd have been About 13.
Yeah.
13 years old.
when you got saved. So he's got a brother Max,
Got a younger brother, Max. It's 12.
and
And Justin.
yeah. Tell me about raising special needs kids. Have you just treat him like you would any other kid?
Yeah, I mean, all children are going to be different. So you've got 3 children, and they're all different.
Right.
And you can. There's not any one thing that you can say. This is going to be the box standard.
Yeah.
You know, everybody's going to be different, and so there's a lot of things. Gus is a lot more self-governed than Max. You know, Max, we've just not had to do as far as getting in trouble, or if you tell him not to do something, you pretty well guarantee he's not going to. Gus, on the other hand, he just wants to be into stuff. And, you know, some people say, well, that's part of Down syndrome. Well, that's how I was too. So,
Do you get
No.
into stuff?
No.
No. You're a good boy, ain't you?
Yep.
Yep.
Yep. Preach baby.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
Now tell us about Gus's went to preaching. Tell us about that.
yeah. So for quite some time, I've wondered, because Gus would, during a good service or something, Gus would say, I have a testimony. And we'd give him a microphone or get him up and let him give his testimony. Oh, and it would just, he just worshiping God. And just, you know, not that the hack is a preacher qualification, but, you know, there's times that I think, you know, he acts like he's preaching. But I can't announce that, and that was a struggle.
Oh, yeah.
You know, how do we go about this? How do we navigate this as a family and as a pastor? And you know, that creates.
I'm a pastor.
Yeah. I think you might be.
Yeah.
But how do we go about that? And so I would just ask Gus. I'd say, Gus, you know, are you a preacher? And he'd say, no. And for a long time it was that. And then one day he came and he said, Daddy, I'm a preacher. And so I just took him at his word, and that's all I know to do.
Right.
It's just take him at his word, and of course we put him behind the pulpit, put a microphone on him, and turned him loose, and we've certainly been enjoying it.
Yeah, I listened to him preach online. He done a great job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Choir too.
Yeah. Do you like preaching, Gus?
Yep. I went to the choir and went in church.
Yeah. In the choir and in church.
Yep.
Now I'll tell you something about Gus. If you ever meet him, I mean, it's like I don't know how to explain it.
Oh, good.
He never forgets a name.
No.
Has he ever forgot a name?
No, and that's not, you know, not everyone has that with special needs. You know, a lot of times people think of Rain Man. That's their go-to
Right.
thing, and a lot of times people with special needs will have this thing that they focus on a lot. And with Gus, the one thing is a name. He can retain that name
Right.
on and on. And we've learned to rely on it. So you know how it is. You're seeing somebody, they're coming up to you, and you're thinking, what is their name? What is their name? And I've learned to look to Gus and say, Gus, what is their name? And he can tell you instantly. So
Well,
we're very thankful for
when I
that.
walked in Monday night, I was fellowshipping with Gus because he's one of my favorite people.
Yeah.
And he said, where's Rachel? Right off the bat, you know, where's Rachel? He remembers everybody's
Where's
name.
Gabe?
Yeah, where's Gabe?
Where's Trey?
Yeah, where's Trey? Yeah, you know everybody's name, don't you?
Yeah, where's Cocoa Bay's church?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Concord Baptist Church. That's
Yeah.
exactly right.
Yeah.
Does he remember church names?
He does, yeah. Once he's been there and gets it, he may ask 2 or 3 times, you know, to repeat it, but then he's got it.
Yeah.
What about that?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
great. That's great.
Yeah. Hey, I tell you one of the great things about special needs for as a pastor of a church. Now, you know, when pastoring a church, you know how it is. There's going to be those things that catch you off guard. I remember I was at a meeting, and I was visiting at a church, and the pastor there had some singers come. And there was a man out of his church had recommended these singers. Well, when they got there, it was like, oh wow, I didn't expect them to to be this way, and that the type of singing they were doing, it just didn't. And it was almost got to the point where you're like, somebody needs to do something.
Right.
Well, there's that nervousness that happens in pastoring, you know, where it doesn't go the way you think it's going to go, or somebody says something off the cuff, and it's like, oh man, I can't believe they said that. With special needs, when they're there, there's a freedom in it, because they're worshiping the Lord, and you can just say, look, they're in all sincerity doing this.
Right.
And as a church, the church as a whole, they learn to appreciate that.
Right.
They can see the sincerity of their type of worship. It's not put on. This is not something that they're just trying to imitate.
Wow.
They're just truly worshiping the Lord. And boy, that's been a tremendous blessing in the church.
Well, I've watched him this week worship. You like preaching, don't you, Gus?
Hallelujah.
I'm sure when he was born and you found out everything and began to find out some things, I'm sure there was a lot of emotions,
Oh,
a
yeah.
lot of questions.
Yeah.
You know, just
Why?
all,
Yeah, like he said, days that end in Y. We didn't expect it, and for a little while, I will have to say, for a little while, it was why, but very quickly it became, why not? You know,
Right.
I mean, who am I that the Lord should say, well, look, he's exempt from having any difficulties in the ministry.
right.
You know, so it's been a blessing, and I tell you, this may sound a strange thing to a lot of people out there, maybe. But I wouldn't change him.
Yeah.
I wouldn't change not one thing about him.
Right.
You know, the Lord has made him just like this, and I think about what Brother Stroud was saying. I believe it was Brother Stroud that was talking about all things are good. Him trying to understand how that, Alzheimer's could be how can you see the good in that?
Yeah.
How can you be thankful for that? But I can't say about Alzheimer's. I've not been there.
Right.
But I can tell you about Down syndrome. I can see the good in it.
Yeah.
What about that?
Yeah.
That's
You love everybody, don't you, Gus?
Yeah.
You know, I told with Scott Poole. Do you know Brother Scott?
I do.
He teaches our school some, and Brother Matthew.
Yeah.
And I've told Scott, Matthew had cerebral palsy. They didn't think he'd ever walk, all those things. But I've told Scott and other people, if the whole world was like Matthew Poole, there would be no wars.
There'd be no wars.
And the same way with Gus. If the whole world was like Gus, there'd be no wars. I mean, there's such a sweet spirit. He's
Sure.
got such a sweet spirit about him.
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
Except he wants me to shave my beard.
yeah, that's the thing.
Take his extra time.
yeah, you need to shave like Todd.
Yeah, I need to shave my dog.
I'm liking him more and more all the time.
Hey, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I've watched you and Shannon raise Gus, and you've always had him everywhere you went.
Sure.
You've just been a family, just a regular go places, do things, family. That's like this week. You've had him down here with you. He's eat it up.
He has. He has. And I just like to encourage anybody out there that, if they have a child with special needs and they think, well, I'm not going to bring them because whatever the reason may be, and you'll produce all kinds of things in your mind, and the devil will use that just the same as he does anything else. Well, you shouldn't take them because this might disrupt or somebody might not understand. And I tell you, I have found God's people to be the most understanding.
Right.
I've never had a situation with special needs, and of course we had Justin, which was had a lot of special needs that we kept in our home for 5 years, and he's went everywhere with us. I've never had a church person have any issue whatsoever, cause any embarrassment, or say you need to get that under control or whatever it may be. Church folks, they love them.
Oh, yeah.
They love
They
them.
knows that.
And one of these days
I know
that all these things are going to come full circle. I can't wait to see Gus's tongue loosed.
Right.
I can't wait to see those hindrances that are here set free over there.
right.
Boy, that's going to be a blessing.
Right. Gus, have you liked the motel this week? Did you like staying in a motel?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I figured you liked that.
What's been your favorite message this week, Gus?
David Shelton.
Davy Shelton.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You like Preacher Davy Shelton?
Yeah.
He your buddy?
Yeah. That's my friend.
Yeah, he is your friend.
Yeah.
And he's a dandy, Davy Shelton.
Yeah.
Hey, did you like Rudy's message this morning on the cross?
Yeah.
I seen you worshiping my Lord during that.
Yeah.
They sung at the end. You like that, didn't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you ever sing, Gus? Do you ever have any special song?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yeah. I got one.
Do you? What's your favorite song?
I'm saved to Animals.
Saved to the Uttermost. You gonna sing it?
Probably tomorrow.
Probably tomorrow.
You're a mess. He's a mess too.
You got these fellas figured out.
Probably tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep. All right. We'll have you back. You can sing "Saved to the Uttermost."
All right, I'm gonna preach.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
All right. I'm gonna have you up to my church to preach.
All righty.
I am.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have you, Daddy, and you both.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Me, Todd.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Might just have you
Dad,
talk
me and
preach.
David.
Yeah.
Tim.
Yeah. Yeah.
Amen.
Well, Jonathan, we appreciate you coming on, and Gus, we really appreciate you being here. We wanted everybody just to
Yes, sir.
meet you. Because
Yes, sir.
if you meet Gus, this right here is what it'll be. You shake his hand 40 times in
Yeah.
one day.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, and he'll always remember your name.
Good handshake.
Oh boy, he's my friend. Me and you buddies.
Young boy. Yeah. I like it. Hey, yeah.
I'm glad you do. Well, we hope that you enjoyed it. We know that you have. I mean, how
Man.
could you not enjoy? And we just want to bring Gus on here and let you guys meet him and have Jonathan talk a little bit about special needs. You know, there may be somebody out there that's
Yes.
going to watch this podcast that ends up with a special needs
Yeah.
kid.
Well, I like what Brother John said just a moment ago. You know, people talk about,
Oh,
have
yeah.
asked about raising kids, having a podcast about raising kids. One of the things you said a moment ago, I think is critical, whether it's special needs or just raising children in general, is that they're not the same.
No.
They're not the same.
Right.
They have different personalities, and there's no cookie cutter approach to.
Yes.
I mean, there's some things biblically we need to do, but
Yeah. Yeah.
but it's you have to understand who they are and how to discipline them, how to train them in particular.
Oh, yeah.
Looking back, Jonathan, if you had to give somebody that's watching advice and they got that shocking news that you and Shannon got there in the delivery room, what advice would you give them to get their mind around it and kind of head forward?
Yeah, the best advice I give, don't worry about it. That panic, that sudden fear that kind of locks you up, it don't allow you to respond in that initial love that you need to.
Right.
It'll be what it'll be. There's nothing. The Bible hadn't changed. God's promise to you hadn't changed. God's provision, none of that has changed. This didn't catch him by surprise. So you are already equipped. If that's what comes, you're already equipped with what you need to love that child and to take care of that child and whatever So don't sweat it. Don't start thinking about how am I going to do this or how am I going to do that. I mean, there's going to be things that a quote unquote normal child is going to do that's you're not going to know how to handle.
Right.
So just the Lord's got it. The Bible, the biblical standard is there, and it's good no matter what. The Lord didn't say, here's your biblical standard for the average child,
Right.
and then here's your biblical standard for somebody else.
Right.
It's a biblical standard, and you just you adhere to that standard and raise your children in accordance to the Word of God, and they'll love God.
Yeah.
That's just, we didn't teach Gus to love God. In Gus's testimonies, in Gus's testimonies, and Gus when he gets up to preach, that's his style. That's not me.
Yeah.
That's who he is. And so I would say to parents, don't sweat it. That shock is but just love them.
Amen.
Just love them. God will take care of it.
You preached the other night till your head hurt, didn't you?
Yeah.
You got a message you're working on, Gus?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yep.
You got a message you're working on?
Well, what are you going to preach on next?
Me me and Timothy
Uh-huh.
and Dad and you and Todd
Yeah, all gonna preach together, but what are you gonna preach on? What are you gonna preach about?
about saved or what I mean it's this amazing God's time.
Uh-huh.
What manner of man is this?
What manner of man is this? Is that what you gonna preach on?
Yeah.
Yep, yep.
And so I mean it's my baby last night.
Come here, give me a hug. That's my old buddy right there. My old buddy Gus.
I'll be my friend.
Yep, yep.
Amen.
Well, we appreciate you being here.
Yeah, man, thank you for the opportunity, to talk
I
to
wish
everyone.
you didn't live so far away. I miss you.
I miss y'all too. I sure do.
I'm glad for what the Lord's doing in your life. I keep
Man.
up with you on Facebook, watch what God's doing in your church. It's a blessing.
Yeah.
It's a
We'll,
blessing.
we'll be Facebook buddies.
Yeah.
All these years, I thought I was his friend, and then
Well, I'm just saying.
Finally
we all-
friended him.
No, we're friends. We're friends.
Hey,
Thick and
man,
thin.
yeah.
Thick and
Sure.
thin.
Sure enough.
Love you, Gus.
I raised with you, baby.
So-
baby.
Check his Facebook page to see Gus preaching. Y'all have Facebook Live over there.
We have Facebook Live, yes.
And tell them again how to find it on Facebook.
That's Faith Baptist in Crossville, Tennessee. Faith Baptist Church in Crossville, Tennessee.
So tune that in. You can see Gus preaching along something. He might let his daddy preach a time or
Yeah,
two.
so every now and then. Yeah. Every now and then I get one in.
All right, y'all. Thanks for joining us. Remember, like and share the podcast. Check it out on all the platforms. Go over and like our YouTube channel. Strengthen the Things That Remain on YouTube. We need to get some subscribers over there. So go subscribe to our YouTube channel. And until next time, remember, strengthen the things that remain. See you.